Welcome to Monk's Temple. Find a place where you can be comfortable, where your body can rest completely, where you don't have to hold yourself up anymore. Let your eyes close softly. Notice the weight of your body being supported by whatever you're sitting or lying on. Hear the sounds around you, not as distractions, but as part of the atmosphere of this moment. Tonight, we'll journey together into the heart of what it means to be truly mentally strong. Often, we think of mental strength as a kind of armor, something we put on to face the world. We imagine it as a fortress wall, thick and high, designed to keep out pain, criticism, and difficulty. But in the deep, quiet teachings of the Buddha, we find a very different understanding. True strength isn't found in walls, but in openness. It isn't about becoming hard, but about becoming deeply, unshakably soft and clear. It's the strength of a deep lake, not a stone. The stone is rigid. It can be cracked. The lake receives everything, rain, leaves, the thrown stone, and, in time, integrates it all, returning to a state of profound stillness. The disturbance becomes part of its depth. That is the kind of strength we will nurture tonight. Let me begin with a story, a simple memory from my own training. I was perhaps 19, and I was struggling terribly with restless thoughts. My mind felt like a cage of frantic birds. I went to my teacher, feeling weak and frustrated. Instead of giving me a technique or a scripture, he asked me to follow him. We walked to a small, shaded courtyard where an ancient ceramic pot sat, filled with soil. A single, slender stalk of bamboo grew from it. "Watch the bamboo," he said. Then, he took a pitcher of water and poured it slowly over the leaves. The water pooled and gathered until the weight became too much, and the entire stalk gracefully bent over, almost to the ground, letting the water slide off. Then, slowly, surely, it straightened back up, standing tall again. "Again," he said. We did this several times. Bend, release, rise. Bend, release, rise. It was a silent dance of resilience. Your mind, he said finally, is not meant to be an iron rod that refuses to bend. That kind of strength eventually snaps. Your mind can learn from this bamboo. It can learn to bend under the weight of experience, to feel the full weight without resistance, and then, because it did not fight the weight, it has the energy to rise again, unharmed. That image of the bamboo, bending but not breaking, has been a living metaphor for me ever since. It embodies a core Buddhist principle, non-resistance. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from pain itself, but from our resistance to it, our argument with what is. Mental strength begins with the courageous, gentle art of bending. If this image of the bending bamboo speaks to you, if you feel a need for this kind of gentle resilience in your life, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's a way to have these reminders and guides arrive in your life, little lanterns for the darker paths. Now, let's explore this from another angle. The Buddha was a master psychologist of the heart. He understood that the mind's turbulence comes from its habit of clinging and craving, clinging to what is pleasant, craving for what we don't have, and pushing away what is unpleasant. This constant grabbing and pushing is exhausting. It's like trying to hold water in your clenched fist, you end up losing it all and tiring your hand. Mental strength, in the Buddhist sense, is the wisdom to open your hand. It's the capacity to let experiences, thoughts, and feelings flow through you without grabbing onto them or building a dam to stop them. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you become selective about where you place your energy. You stop wasting it on the futile fight against reality and start using it to respond with clarity and compassion. I remember a woman who came to the temple many years ago. She was a successful artist, but she was paralyzed by the critics. Every harsh review was like a physical blow. She would spend days in bed, replaying the words. She believed that to be strong, she had to not care at all. But that just made her numb, and her art suffered. I asked her to walk with me to a large, old bell that hung in the garden. I struck it once. A deep, resonant bong filled the air. We stood and listened as the sound hung there, vibrant, and then gradually faded into silence. The critic's word, I said, is the strike of the mallet. It happens. You cannot stop it. The sound that lingers in your mind for days, that is your ringing. Your replaying, your analysis, your hurt. That is the echo you keep alive by listening to it. The bell does not cling to its own sound. It allows it to arise and pass away. Your strength lies not in preventing the strike, the world will always strike, but in learning, like the bell, not to cling to the echo. She began a simple practice. When a critical thought arose, she would mentally say, a strike, and then breathe, imagining the sound fading on her out-breath. She didn't fight the thought, she acknowledged it and let its echo fade naturally. Slowly, she reclaimed the space between the strike and her peace. This leads us to a beautiful and essential concept in Buddhism, the understanding of control. The Buddha's path is often called the middle way, and it applies perfectly here. It is the middle way between trying to control everything and feeling controlled by everything. A strong mind has the discernment to know the difference between what is its domain and what is not. Imagine you are a sailor on a vast ocean. You cannot control the wind, the currents, or the waves. If you spend all your energy screaming at the storm, you will drown in exhaustion and fear. But you can control your sail. You can adjust your rudder. You can choose how to orient your vessel to the conditions. Your thoughts, your intentions, your reactions, your breath, these are your sail and rudder. The weather of life, other people's actions, the past, sudden events, that is the wind and the sea. Mental strength is the skilled, calm attention of the sailor, not the futile rage of someone trying to command the sky. I learned this not from a book, but from watching an old gardener at a monastery where I stayed as a young man. His name was Leo, and he tended the vegetable plots with infinite patience. One summer, a terrible hail storm came just as his tomatoes were ripening. It shredded the plants. I watched him walk through the ruin the next morning. I expected despair. Instead, he knelt, carefully collected the few unbruised green tomatoes, and later that day, was patiently planting a new crop of fast-growing greens in the cleared beds. He saw me looking and smiled. I cannot make the hail fall or not fall, he said. That is the sky's business. My business is the soil. The sky did its work. Now I do mine. That simple division of responsibility, the sky's business and my business, has been a guiding light. So much of our anxiety and mental fatigue comes from exhausting ourselves with the sky's business, trying to manage things utterly beyond our control. The Buddha taught us to conserve our precious energy for our own domain. Our inner landscape, our choices, our responses. This is not surrender, it is strategic wisdom. It is the foundation of resilience. Let us continue. Now, Having touched upon the wisdom of the bending bamboo and the discerning sailor, we gently turn our gaze inward. For the Buddha taught that the entire universe of our suffering and our freedom is contained within this 6-foot-long body and the mind that perceives through it. The strongest fortress you will ever build, the most serene sanctuary you will ever know, is not made of stone or wood, but of awareness itself. We are going to explore the art of building that inner sanctuary, a place of refuge that exists not in a location, but in a quality of attention. Imagine, if you will, a room inside you. It is not a room of thoughts or memories. It is a room of pure listening. The walls are made of quiet acceptance. The floor is the steady ground of your breath. The window looks out onto the panorama of your life, the bustling streets of your responsibilities, the gardens of your joys, the stormy skies of your challenges, but here, inside, it is still. This is the practice of mindfulness, or sati in the ancient language of the Buddha. It is not about being hyper-focused or intensely vigilant. It is about coming home. It is about being the space in which everything is allowed to be, without you being lost in any of it. A strong mind is a mind that can visit this room at will. It is a mind that knows it is not the weather outside the window, but the one who is warm and safe, simply watching the weather. I was once on a long, silent train journey through the countryside. For hours, the landscape scrolled by, fields, forests, small towns, rivers. At first, my mind was busy commenting on everything. That's beautiful. That looks run down. I wish we'd stop there. Then, a kind of fatigue set in, and the commentary slowed. I began to simply see. Not a beautiful field, but shapes of green and gold. Not a rundown house, but patterns of light and shadow on wood. The train kept moving, the world kept passing, but my relationship to it changed. I was no longer judging the view from a place of wanting or disliking. I was just witnessing the endless, flowing tapestry. That is the essence of mindfulness in Buddhism. It is moving from being a critic of your experience to being a compassionate witness. The Buddha said this shift is the gateway to freedom. When you witness your anger without becoming the anger loses its power to consume you. When you witness your anxiety without buying its story, the anxiety becomes a passing cloud in the vast sky of your awareness. This is the core of mental strength, the unshakable knowledge that you are the sky, not the cloud. This leads me to another story, about a master carpenter I met in a remote village. He was famous for his intricate woodwork, especially his doors. People said his doors fit their frames so perfectly they sealed out drafts without a sound. I asked him his secret. He took me to his workshop, which was filled with the scent of cedar. He pointed to a half-carved door. The secret, he said, is not in forcing the wood to fit the frame. That creates strain. The secret is in carefully, patiently, shaving away the wood that doesn't belong. You listen to the wood. You take away only what is in the way of the perfect fit. He let that hang in the air. Your mind, he said, looking at me, is like this. Peace and strength are not things you add. They are what is revealed when you gently, patiently, shave away the thoughts that are in the way, the worry, the regret, the endless planning. You don't fight the thoughts. You just recognize, this is not the door, and you return to the carving, to the breath, to the present moment. You shave away your identification with the noise, and what remains is the perfect, silent fit of your awareness with the present. This is a profound Buddhist practice, letting go, or Visagga. Strength is not an accumulation, it is a graceful subtraction of all that is unnecessary. Now, we must speak of a guardian. In the beautiful, ancient metaphors found in Buddhist texts, the mind is often depicted as a cherished city or a royal palace. And every palace needs a guardian at the gate. This guardian is not a soldier who fights and kills. He is a wise, discerning watchman. His job is simple, to ask of every thought, every emotion, every external impression that seeks entry, what do you bring? Is this for the health and peace of the kingdom? If the thought is one of kindness, of clarity, of constructive criticism, the guardian bows and says, you may enter. If the thought is one of hatred, of obsessive fear, of toxic self-judgment, the guardian stands firm. He says, I see you. I acknowledge you exist. But you may not enter. You may not disturb the peace of this inner kingdom. This guardian is your own mindful awareness. You are not powerless against the barrage of mental stimuli. You have, and you can strengthen, this inner gatekeeper. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you question a harsh inner narrative, you are that guardian doing his duty. The Buddha called this Yoniso Manasikara, or wise attention. It is the application of mindfulness as a filter, a protector of your heart's peace. I remember a period in my life when I was inundated with responsibilities, feeling pulled in a dozen directions. My inner city was under siege by demands and deadlines. I felt weak, scattered. My teacher at the time gave me a single, strange instruction: for 1 hour each day, you are the gatekeeper of nothing. He explained no further. Confused, I tried it. I would sit, and as thoughts of tasks, anxieties, and plans approached, as they always did, I would mentally say, I am the gatekeeper of nothing. You demand entry to a kingdom of tasks, but I am keeping a kingdom of nothing. It felt silly at first. But slowly, a space opened. The thoughts lost their urgency. They were just visitors at a gate that led to an empty courtyard. They would eventually wander away. In that emptiness, I found a replenishing strength. I was not my to-do list. I was the silent space that could hold it. This practice is deeply rooted in the Buddhist concept of samatha, often translated as emptiness or voidness. It doesn't mean nothing exists, it means things lack a permanent, solid, independent identity. Your stressful thought is empty of the power to control you, unless you grant it that power by identifying with it. The guardian knows this. Let's breathe into this. Without changing anything, just feel the air moving in and out of your body. This breath is the constant visitor at your gate. It always comes, and it always goes. It asks for nothing. It is a perfect example of nature's effortless rhythm. Your mind can learn this rhythm. The thoughts come. The thoughts go. You are the space they move through. From this space of guarded, mindful awareness, we can now look at one of the most powerful forces for mental strength that the Buddha taught: compassion, beginning with compassion for yourself. We often confuse self-compassion with self-indulgence or weakness. In the Buddha's framework, it is the bedrock of true strength. Imagine trying to build a tall, beautiful tower on ground that is cracked and hostile. It will never be stable. You must first care for the ground, mend its cracks, water it, make it firm and supportive. That ground is your relationship with yourself. If you are constantly at war with yourself, berating your mistakes, denying your needs, ignoring your pain, you are trying to build a tower of resilience on fractured earth. It will tremble at the first challenge. There is a story from my own journey that taught me this. In my early years of practice, I was very disciplined, but also very harsh. I would sit in meditation for hours, fighting pain and sleepiness, angry at my weak mind. One evening, after a particularly frustrating session, I went to sit under a large jasmine bush. I was full of defeat. An elder monk, who rarely spoke, came and sat beside me. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply pointed to a jasmine flower that was partially wilted, its white petals turning brown at the edges. Then he pointed to a fresh, blooming one. "The flower does not scold itself for wilting," he said softly. "It does not waste a single moment of fragrance on regret. It simply lived its flower life, and now that part is ending. The plant does not love the fresh bloom more than the wilted one. It gives the same sap to both." He placed his hand over his heart. "Your practice is not to become the perfect, unfading flower. That is not the way of nature. Your practice is to be the whole plant. To give the sap of your compassion equally to the parts of you that are wilting, that are in pain, that feel weak, as you do to the parts that feel bright and strong. The wilted petal is not the enemy. It is you." That night, I wept. It was the beginning of learning that mental strength is inclusive. It does not reject the weak parts, it holds them with such tenderness that they cease to be sources of fragmentation and become sources of depth and understanding. The Buddha was once asked, "Who is the strongest?" He did not point to a warrior or a king. He said, "The one who can love themselves in the midst of their own failure." This is the radical, revolutionary strength of Buddhism. It is a strength that makes you invulnerable because it has nothing to reject, nothing to fear from within. When you are not fighting yourself, you have all your energy available to meet the world. Let us continue on this gentle journey. We visited the inner room of listening, met the guardian at the gate, and begun to tend to the ground of self-compassion. Now, we turn to face one of the most liberating, and sometimes most challenging, truths taught by the Buddha, the truth of impermanence. In the ancient Pali language, it is called anicca. It is not a philosophy of pessimism, but a clear-eyed observation of reality. Everything that arises, passes away. Every sensation, every thought, every feeling, every situation, every season of life, it is all in motion. Our deepest suffering, the Buddha pointed out, comes from our desperate, often unconscious, struggle against this fundamental law. We want what is pleasant to stay forever. We want what is painful to never have existed. In that wanting, we build a wall of resistance against the very flow of life, and we are crushed against it. Mental strength, in its most profound sense, is the courage to loosen our grip, to step into the river of change, and learn to float. Think of a magnificent sunset. Its beauty is piercing precisely because you know it is fleeting. The colors are brilliant because they are dying. If the sky remained that exact shade of orange and purple for hours, it would lose its magic, you would stop seeing it. The transience is what makes it precious. Our lives are a series of such sunsets and sunrises. The joyful moment with a loved one, the satisfaction of a task completed, the peaceful walk in the park, they are beautiful because they are passing. The difficult conversation, the season of grief, the anxiety about the future, they are bearable because they, too, are passing. The Buddha taught us to hold this truth close to our hearts, not as a cold fact, but as a compassionate friend. It is the friend that whispers during pain, "This, too, is changing." And it is the friend that whispers during joy, "Be fully here now, for this is a gift that will not last in this form." This awareness is the anchor that holds fast in all weather. I remember a profound lesson I received not in a temple, but from a humble potter in a small coastal village. His name was Elias, and his hands were permanently stained with clay. He made beautiful, simple cups and bowls. I watched him for an entire day. He would center a lump of clay on the wheel, his hands steady and sure. He would shape it into a perfect, graceful form. Then, without a hint of hesitation, he would take a thin wire and slice it from the wheel. He'd place it on a shelf with dozens of others, all identical in their potential. Later, he would fire them in his kiln. Sometimes, a piece would crack in the intense heat with a loud ping. He would hear it and simply nod. When he unloaded the kiln, he would examine the cracked pieces. He didn't discard them. He would take a mixture of gold lacquer and resin and carefully fill the cracks, making them shimmer. These mended bowls were his most prized, and most expensive, pieces. He called them his stories. He told me, "The clay wants to be a bowl. The fire tests it. Sometimes it breaks. The break isn't the end of the story, it's the place where the light gets in. The gold is just me agreeing with what happened." This is the essence of working with impermanence in our own lives. We are the clay. Experience is the fire. The cracks, our failures, our losses, our heartbreaks, are not evidence of a flawed creation. They are the places where, if we are willing, we can mend ourselves with the gold of understanding and compassion. The Buddha taught that our wounds, when healed with wisdom, become our greatest sources of insight and strength. They become our stories of resilience. This understanding flows directly into another core Buddhist principle, non-attachment. This is often misunderstood. It does not mean you shouldn't love people or care about your work. It means you hold them with open hands, not with clenched fists. Imagine you are carrying a precious, delicate glass lantern through a dark forest. If you grip it tightly, fearing to drop it, your hand cramps, you tremble, and you are more likely to stumble and shatter it. If you carry it gently, cradling it with balanced, relaxed awareness, you can navigate the roots and rocks, and the light remains steady. Your loved ones, your health, your accomplishments, they are like that lantern. You care for them deeply, you tend to their light, but you understand you are its carrier, not its eternal owner. Attachment is the fearful grip. Love is the gentle, attentive cradle. Mental strength is the ability to love fully, to care deeply, while resting in the peace that comes from knowing you are part of a larger flow. You did not create the light, you are merely fortunate enough to carry it for a while. There is a story from the later years of my teacher that I hold dear. He had a small, unremarkable ceramic tea bowl he used every day for 40 years. It was chipped and stained. To anyone else, it was worthless. To him, it was perfect. One day, a clumsy novice knocked it off a table, and it shattered on the stone floor. The novice was horrified, tears in his eyes. My teacher calmly knelt and began to pick up the pieces. He looked at the novice's stricken face and said, "For 40 years, that bowl held my tea. I am grateful. Its time to be a bowl for me is now over. Its pieces will go into the garden, and perhaps they will help drain the soil for the azaleas. The bowl was never mine to keep. It was mine to use, and to thank. He was not devoid of feeling. There was a quiet sadness in his eyes, a recognition of an ending. But there was no anger, no sense of loss that shattered his peace. He was demonstrating upekkha, or equanimity, one of the highest qualities of mind in Buddhism. Equanimity is not cold indifference. It is a spacious, balanced heart that can hold gratitude for what was and acceptance for what is, without being torn apart by the transition. It is the deep strength that allows you to say a true goodbye, because you loved fully while you had the chance. Now, let us weave these threads together with a story about a weaver. In a mountain town I once passed through, there was an old woman who wove tapestries that told the stories of the valley. Her work was stunning. I visited her small, loom-filled cottage and saw a tapestry on her frame that was a chaotic mess of tangled, knotted threads on the back. But when she invited me to see the front, I gasped. It was a perfect, beautiful scene of a sunrise over the peaks. She saw my amazement and laughed. "You are looking at the wrong side," she said. "Everyone does at first. We think the tangles are the mistake, the problem. But the tangles are necessary. They happen on the back because of the complex pattern on the front. If I spent all my time trying to keep the back perfectly smooth, I would never make anything beautiful. I have to trust that the mess has a purpose, and keep my eyes on the emerging picture. Our lives are this tapestry. The present moment, with all its confusing threads of joy, sorrow, boredom, and excitement, often feels like the tangled back. We want to smooth it out, to straighten every knot immediately. But the Buddha invites us to have faith in the weaver, in the law of cause and effect, karma, in the unfolding of wisdom, panna. Our job is not to control every single thread, but to keep weaving with good intentions, with kindness, with mindful stitches. To trust that from the perspective of a greater understanding, from the front of the tapestry, the tangles and the smooth patches together are creating a coherent, meaningful whole. This trust is a pillar of mental strength. It is the antidote to the anxiety that demands to control the uncontrollable pattern of life. Let's breathe into this trust. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. This breath is a thread in your tapestry. The last breath is a finished stitch in the past. The next breath is a thread yet to be woven. This present breath is the shuttle in your hand, moving through the loom of now. You are the weaver, in this instant. From the acceptance of impermanence and the trust in the weave, we discover a quiet fearlessness. This is not the absence of fear, but the presence of a calm awareness that is larger than fear. The Buddha compared a mind trained in this way to the earth. The earth receives all things, seeds and garbage, sweet rain and acid, beautiful flowers and rotting leaves, without preference or aversion. It transforms everything into soil, into potential for new growth. A mentally strong person has this earth-like quality. They can receive praise and blame, success and failure, without their inner ground being poisoned or exalted. They transform experience into wisdom, into compost for compassion. They are unshakable because they are rooted in the reality of change itself, which is the only constant. Let us continue, moving deeper into the forest of understanding. We have been exploring the inner landscape. The room of listening, the guardian at the gate, the mended bowl, the weaver's trust. Now, let us step outside that inner room for a moment and look at the wider view. In Buddhism, a mind that is strong is never an isolated fortress. Its strength is relational, woven into the very fabric of existence. The Buddha unveiled a profound truth, that we do not, and cannot, exist independently. This is the teaching of Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. Everything arises in relationship to everything else. Your peace is connected to the peace of others. Your strength is nourished by the world around you and, in turn, nourishes it. To believe we must be strong alone is to build on a fundamental misunderstanding. True resilience is ecological. It is like the strength of an ancient forest, which does not come from one towering tree, but from the interconnected network of roots sharing nutrients under the soil, from the canopy sharing shade, from the diversity of life that supports the whole. I learned this not from a lecture, but during a long, silent walk in an old-growth redwood forest. The silence there was not an absence of sound, but a presence of a deep, resonant hum. The sound of life being lived on a scale far grander than my own. I sat with my back against a giant tree, feeling utterly small. A park ranger came by and, seeing my reverent state, sat down nearby. He pointed to the forest floor, covered in a soft, spongy layer of duff. "Do you know what makes this forest so resilient?" he asked. "It's not just the size of the trees. It's the mycelium." He explained that beneath our feet was a vast, invisible network of fungal threads, connecting the root systems of nearly every plant. Through this network, trees share water, nutrients, and even chemical warnings about pests. A strong, healthy tree doesn't hoard, it contributes to and draws from this wood-wide web. A seedling struggling in the shade is nourished by sunlight converted by a giant 100 yards away. The forest, he said, is one living being. In that moment, I understood a core Buddhist truth in a visceral way. My sense of a separate, struggling, self was an illusion, like seeing a single leaf and missing the whole tree. My mental strength is not a private resource to be depleted, but a quality that is sustained by my connections, to other people, to nature, to acts of kindness, to the breath that is air shared with all living things. When I feel weak, it is often because I have forgotten my connection to the network. I have mistaken myself for a lone seedling in a pot, when in truth, my roots are entwined with all of life. This brings us to the beautiful Buddhist practice of the Brahmaviharas, often called the divine abodes, or heart quarters. These are 4 qualities of heart that, when cultivated, create an unshakable inner fortress made of love, not stone. They are loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. We've touched on self-compassion and equanimity. Now, let's see how they expand outward. A strong mind is not a mind that has eliminated care for others, it is a mind whose care has become boundless and wise. It is a mind that can wish well for a friend, for a neutral person, and even for someone who has caused difficulty. This is not being a doormat. It is a strategic and powerful state. Hatred and resentment are like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. They are inner toxins that weaken you. Forgiving someone, or simply wishing them freedom from their own inner turmoil, is not about them, it is about removing a poison from your own system. It is an act of supreme self-care and strength. I witnessed the power of this many years ago in a city mediation center. 2 business partners, their relationship shattered by betrayal and lawsuits, were brought together in a last attempt at a settlement. The air was thick with bitterness. The mediator, an elderly woman trained in Buddhist principles, began not with the contract, but with a simple question to each man: what was the dream you shared when you first started? Not the money, but the dream. Reluctantly, they began to speak. One talked about wanting to build something his father would have been proud of. The other spoke of wanting to create jobs in his old neighborhood. As they spoke of their original, pure intentions, the hard masks of anger began to soften. They weren't agreeing yet, but they were seeing each other not as caricatures of evil, but as flawed human beings who had also been hurt. The mediator later told me, "I don't try to make them like each other. I try to help them see the shared humanity beneath the broken deal. When they touch that, their own need to punish begins to dissolve. Their energy is freed up to solve the practical problem. This is karuna, compassion, in action. It is the strength to see the pain behind another's harmful actions, which allows you to respond from clarity rather than from a reactive, weakened state of rage." The third heart quarter, sympathetic joy, mudita, is a particularly potent antidote to a modern source of mental weakness, comparison and envy. In the age of curated digital lives, it is easy to feel that everyone else's tapestry is more beautiful, their bowl less cracked. Envy is a contraction of the heart. It makes us small, bitter, and isolated. Mudita is the practice of consciously rejoicing in the good fortune, talents, and happiness of others. It is the mental act of saying, "Your sunshine does not take away from mine. In fact, it adds to the light in the world, which I, too, enjoy." It is the strength of a heart so secure in its own worth that it can celebrate the worth of others without feeling threatened. I had a student, a talented musician, who was constantly tortured by the success of his peers. Every award they won felt like a personal failure. His creativity was stifled. I gave him a practice. For 1 week, whenever he saw a peer's success, he was to stop and mentally offer a genuine phrase of congratulation. "May your success bring you joy and allow you to create more beauty." He said it felt fake and painful at first. But by the end of the week, he reported a strange shift. "It was like a knot in my chest loosened," he said. "I realized their path was theirs, and mine is mine. Their success actually inspired me again, instead of defeating me. It was like I was rejoining the human race." His own creative energy began to flow freely. This is the strength of mudita. It reconnects you to the nourishing network. It transforms competitors back into fellow travelers, sources of inspiration rather than threat. Now, let us integrate this with a story about a bridge. In a remote Himalayan valley, the only way across a fierce river was a simple, old rope bridge. It swayed alarmingly. Villagers crossed it every day without fear. I, a visitor, was terrified, gripping the ropes with white knuckles, inching across. A young girl, carrying a basket of vegetables, skipped past me with a laugh. When I finally reached the other side, shaken, an old villager smiled at me. "You were fighting the bridge," he said. "You see it as an enemy to be conquered. We see it as a friend that sings. The wind plays it, the river rocks it. Its movement is its strength. If it were rigid, a storm would snap it. You must move with it, not against it. And you must trust that the other side is held by the mountain, just as this side is." Our relationships, our connections to others and to life's challenges, are that bridge. We often approach them with rigidity and fear, trying to control every sway. Mental strength is learning to move with the natural sway of human interaction, to trust the connection, and to know that both ends are anchored in something solid, the fundamental law of cause and effect and the basic goodness of the human heart. We don't have to hold the entire universe up, we just have to walk the bridge with mindful steps, allowing it to support us. This interconnected strength leads us to consider our speech and action. The Buddha placed tremendous emphasis on sila, or ethical conduct, not as a set of rigid rules, but as the essential foundation for a peaceful mind. You cannot have mental stability if your actions are constantly creating waves of regret, guilt, or conflict in your relational world. It is like trying to meditate in a room where you are constantly throwing things against the walls. Ethical living, speaking truthfully, acting with kindness, taking only what is given, creates an outer and inner environment of calm. It simplifies your life. You don't have to remember lies, hide actions, or manage the fallout of harm. This conservation of mental and emotional energy is immense. The strength of a clear conscience is a quiet, profound power. It allows you to sleep deeply and meet the world without flinching. Let us continue, journeying now from the interconnected forest and the singing bridge into the deepest, quietest waters within. We have spoken of the sky that holds clouds and the earth that receives all things. Now, imagine the ocean. On its surface, there can be hurricanes, towering waves, driving rain, terrifying winds. This is the surface level of our mind, churned by thoughts, lashed by emotions, chaotic with plans and worries. Yet, if you were to descend just 30, 50, 100 feet below that furious surface, something remarkable happens. The water grows still, quiet, dark and peaceful. The storm rages above, but here, in the depths, there is a profound, unshakable calm. The ocean floor does not even know a storm is happening. This, the Buddha taught, is the nature of your own awareness. Your true mind, beneath the storm of conditions, is this deep, still, vast water. Mental strength is not about calming the surface storm, though that may happen in time, but about learning to descend, to find refuge in the depths that are already, and always, calm. This descent is the heart of meditation, but not the strained, focused meditation of popular imagination. It is more like a sinking, a letting go, allowing yourself to be held by the depth. The Buddha called this samadhi, often translated as concentration or collectedness, but it is better understood as unification, or settling. It is the mind becoming collected like still water, so it can reflect things as they are, without distortion. In this deep stillness, you are not trying to achieve anything. You are simply coming home to the most fundamental part of yourself, which is peace itself. From this place, you can look up at the stormy surface, your anxiety about a meeting, your grief over a loss, your anger at an injustice, and see it for what it is, a weather pattern. Important, worthy of a wise response, but not who you are. You are the ocean, not the weather. I was taught this not through a technique, but through a failure. In my youth, I went on a long retreat with the goal of achieving profound stillness. I fought with my thoughts, wrestled with sleep, and strained for silence. I was a surface swimmer thrashing against the waves, exhausting myself. After days of frustration, the retreat master called me in. He placed a clear glass of muddy water on the table between us. "Your mind," he said. Then, he sat perfectly still. He did not touch the glass. We sat in silence for 10 long minutes. I watched, confused. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the mud in the water began to settle. Particle by particle, it drifted down. After 20 minutes, the water was clear, with all the sediment in a neat layer at the bottom. He pointed. I did nothing to the water, he said. I simply provided the conditions for it to settle by itself. Your effort to force stillness is like stirring the glass. Stop stirring. Provide the conditions. A settled posture, gentle attention on the breath, and then get out of the way. Let the mind settle onto its own natural, clear base. This was a revelation. Strength was not in the forcing, but in the profound patience to allow settling. It was an act of trust in my own nature. This is a core Buddhist insight. Our fundamental nature is pure, clear, and aware, Pabhasara Siddha. The mud of greed, hatred, and delusion is temporary, agitated sediment. It settles when we stop stirring. This deep, still place is the source of true intuition and wisdom. The Buddha's enlightenment was not an acquisition of new information, but a profound remembering, a seeing into the deepest nature of reality from a place of ultimate stillness. From this depth, you begin to see the patterns of your life not as personal tragedies or triumphs, but as movements in a larger dance. You gain what is called panna, or discernment. This is not intellectual knowledge. It is a knowing that arises from the still center, like a bubble rising from the ocean floor. It is the clear, compassionate understanding of what action is needed, what word is true, what silence is golden. This discernment is the strongest guide you will ever have. It does not shout. It whispers from the depths. Let me share a story about a lighthouse keeper, a profession that embodies this principle. I once spent a month in a small coastal monastery that also maintained a lighthouse. The keeper was a silent, weathered man named Thomas. I asked him if he was ever afraid during the terrible winter gales, when the waves would crash over the rock, shaking the very tower. He shook his head. My job is not in the tower, he said, pointing upward. My job is down here. He led me down a spiral staircase to the very base of the lighthouse, into a small, round, stone chamber. It was utterly still. The roar of the storm was a distant muffled thunder here. In the center of the room was the massive, weighted clockwork mechanism that turned the great lens above. This, he said, placing a hand on the cold, slow-turning gear, is the heart. It is heavy, simple, and steady. Up there, he gestured upward, is the light. It must flash and warn. But the light depends on this steady turning down here in the dark, where the storm cannot reach it. If I worried about the waves, if I lived in the lantern room, I'd go mad. But I tend to this. I keep it oiled and clean. And because this is steady, the light does its job. He taught me more about meditation in that one moment than any book could. Our awareness is that light. Our thoughts and emotions are the storm and the flashing beams. But the source of steadiness, the weighted, turning mechanism, is in the deep, still chamber of the body and breath, beneath the storylines of the mind. Mental strength is the daily, faithful tending of that inner mechanism. The simple, grounded practices of mindful breathing, of walking, of eating, that keeps the light of our awareness turning steadily, regardless of the weather in our thoughts. Now, from this still depth, we can confront one of the great illusions that causes mental weakness, the illusion of a fixed, solid self. We spend enormous energy protecting this self, defending its image, feeding its desires, lamenting its wounds. The Buddha's radical and liberating teaching is anatta, often translated as non-self. This does not mean you don't exist. It means what you call me is not a single, solid, permanent thing, but a flowing, interdependent process, a river of body, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Trying to build a permanent fortress for a river is an exercise in exhaustion and futility. You build the walls, and the river has already moved on. The suffering comes from clinging to one particular bend in the river and saying, "This is me. And it must stay like this forever." I saw the pain of this clinging vividly in a man who came to the temple after a sudden, severe illness had left him physically weakened. He had been an athlete, and his identity was utterly tied to his physical prowess. He was depressed, angry, and felt his life was over. He saw himself as a broken statue of his former self. One afternoon, I took him to watch a river that ran behind the temple. We saw branches caught in an eddy, spinning round and round, going nowhere. "That is your mind right now," I said. "Clinging to the old form, going in circles." Then I pointed to the main current, where water flowed freely around rocks, over falls, always moving, always changing. The water is still water, whether it is in the eddy or in the current. Your life force, your awareness, is still here. It is not the form of the athlete. That was a previous bend in the river. The river hasn't stopped flowing. It is asking you to flow into a new shape. It took time, but he slowly began to let the old identity dissolve into the flow. He discovered a love for teaching, for coaching children. His strength became not the strength of a muscle, but the strength of a river, adaptable, persistent, life-giving. This is the ultimate mental strength. The fluidity to let old versions of yourself die so new ones can be born, all while knowing the essential stream of consciousness remains. This deep, fluid awareness allows for a final, beautiful quality, the strength of beginner's mind. In Zen, they call it Shoshin. It is the mind that is open, curious, and free of preconceptions. A so-called expert mind is often brittle. It has answers and is afraid of questions that might crack them. A beginner's mind is strong because it is soft, adaptable, and always learning. It meets each moment as if for the first time, full of wonder and possibility, not burdened by the past. The Buddha himself taught with this mind. He did not give rigid dogmas, he gave tools for inquiry. "Come and see," he said, "Ehipassiko." This is the strength of a scientist of the inner world, forever curious, forever testing the truth against their own experience. Let us continue. We have descended into the still depths of the ocean and felt the steady turning of the lighthouse mechanism. We have learned to see ourselves as a flowing river, not a frozen statue. Now, we must bring this understanding up to the surface, into the plain, ordinary moments of our day. For the ultimate test of mental strength is not in the quiet of meditation, but in the noisy kitchen, the crowded commute, the stressful inbox, the difficult conversation. The Buddha's path is one of integration. It is about making the profound simple, and the simple, profound. This is the art of everyday mindfulness, the practice of keeping the deep ocean's calm present within you while you navigate the surface waves of life. Mindfulness, or sati, in its most practical sense, is simply remembering. Remembering to come back to the present moment. Remembering that you are the ocean, not the wave. Remembering that you have a guardian at the gate. It is the thread that stitches the depths to the surface. Without it, our deep insights from meditation remain in a compartment, and we live our daily lives on autopilot, tossed by every wind. With it, every action, washing a dish, typing an email, listening to a friend, can become a practice ground for strength, a place to cultivate the unshakable. Think of your attention as a precious resource, like water. In its default, untrained state, it leaks everywhere. It spills into regrets about the past, floods into anxieties about the future, and evaporates into daydreams. You are left parched and scattered in the actual present, where your life is actually happening. Mindfulness is the practice of gently collecting that water, of containing it in the vessel of this moment. When you wash a dish, you are just washing a dish. You feel the warmth of the water, the slipperiness of the soap, the smooth curve of the plate. You are fully there. In that full presence, there is no room for the mental chatter about the argument you had earlier or the meeting you dread tomorrow. There is just the dish, the water, and you. And in that simplicity, a deep quiet strength arises. You are not fragmented. You are whole, here, capable. This is a microdose of the Buddha's enlightenment. He wasn't enlightened while doing something extraordinary. He was enlightened while sitting under a tree, fully present to the reality of his own body, mind, and the causes of suffering. Your enlightenment can be in washing the dish. I learned the transformative power of this from a taxi driver in a sprawling, chaotic city. I was stuck in terrible traffic, late for an appointment, feeling the familiar knots of impatience and stress tightening in my chest. The driver, an elderly man with calm eyes, noticed my agitation in the rearview mirror. He didn't offer platitudes. Instead, he said, "Watch my hand." He lifted his right hand from the gearshift and held it in the air between the seats. It was perfectly, utterly still. Not a tremor. Outside, horns blared, engines roared, people shouted. Inside the cab, his hand was a monument to calm. "I cannot move the traffic," he said, his hand still floating, serene. "That is the world's business. But I can do this. This is my business. When I remember my business, the world's business becomes just a movie I am watching." He put his hand back on the wheel. That still hand in the midst of chaos was one of the most powerful teachings I have ever received. My mental strength, my peace, was not dependent on the traffic clearing. It was available to me in the very next breath, if I chose to attend to my business, the stillness within the moving body, the awareness behind the frustrated thoughts. I began to practice the still hand in traffic jams, in long lines, in tense waits. It became an anchor. This practice naturally extends to our speech and listening, which are tremendous arenas for building or eroding mental strength. The Buddha gave detailed guidance on right speech, speech that is truthful, helpful, kind, and timely. This is not just morality, it is mental hygiene. When we speak harshly, gossip, or lie, we agitate our own mind. We create internal conflict and social friction that we then have to manage. It is exhausting. Conscious, mindful speech is an act of strength. It means pausing, finding that still hand, before reacting. It means asking your inner guardian, is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? That pause is the space where wisdom can arise from the depths, replacing a reactive wave of anger or hurt with a compassionate, firm response. Similarly, deep listening is a fortress of strength. Most of the time when others speak, we are not truly listening. We are rehearsing our reply, judging their words, or thinking about something else. This divides our attention and weakens our connection. Mindful listening is the practice of giving your whole ocean to the other person's wave. You listen not just to their words, but to the silence between them, to the emotion behind them. You offer the gift of your undisturbed attention. In doing so, you become unshakable. You cannot be knocked off balance by their anger or their neediness, because you are not reacting from your surface, you are holding them in your deep, spacious awareness. This often diffuses conflict more powerfully than any argument. Let me share a story about a blacksmith, which may seem an unlikely teacher of gentle strength. In a village where I lived briefly, the blacksmith was a huge, stern man named Kale. Children were slightly afraid of him. One day, I needed a tool mended and brought it to his forge. The heat was intense, the noise deafening. He took my broken tool, examined it, and thrust it into the coals. He didn't start hammering immediately. He waited, watching the metal intently. He waited for it to reach the exact right temperature, not too cold, where it would shatter, not too hot, where it would become brittle. Only when it glowed a specific shade of orange did he pull it out and place it on the anvil. Then, with a series of precise, measured blows, he shaped it. The strikes were not frantic. They were rhythmic, intentional. Clang. Pause. Clang. Pause. Between each strike, he would look, assess, and adjust. He explained, the strength is not in the hammer or the arm. It is in the waiting for the right moment, and in the silence between the strikes. That is where the metal decides to change. Our interactions with the world are like this. We often react when the situation is too cold, with apathy, or too hot, with rage. Mental strength is the capacity to wait for the right moment, the wise response, which arises from the silent, attentive space between stimuli. And it is in the pauses between our actions, the moments of reflection, of breath, of simply being, that our character is truly shaped and strengthened. Finally, we must speak of the mindfulness of rest. Our culture often confuses strength with endless activity, with burning the candle at both ends. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, included right livelihood and a balanced lifestyle in his path. He and his monks would retreat during the rainy season. This is the strength of knowing when to stop, when to let the field lie fallow. Pushing through exhaustion is not strength, it is a violence against your own system that leads to collapse. True strength includes the gentle, firm wisdom of rest. It is the deep ocean knowing it is time to be still, so it can again reflect the stars. It is the lighthouse keeper sleeping while the clockwork turns steadily, trusting the mechanism he has tended. Practice this now, even as you listen. Allow your body to be completely heavy. Feel the points of contact with the chair or the floor. With each exhale, imagine you are letting go of a tiny burden of effort, of holding on. You are not doing anything wrong. You are simply practicing the mindfulness of being, which is the foundation for all doing. Let us continue, gathering all the streams of our understanding into the great river of the heart. We have navigated the surface storms and found the deep calm. We have tended the inner lighthouse and practiced mindfulness in the ordinary. Now, we arrive at the essence, the flowering of mental strength as taught by the Buddha. It is not a cold, detached stoicism. It is the opposite. It is the cultivation of a heart that is so soft, so open, so vulnerable to the beauty and pain of the world, that it becomes, paradoxically, unbreakable. A diamond is hard, but it can be shattered with a precise blow. Water is soft, yielding, and takes the shape of any container, yet you cannot break it with a hammer. You can only scatter it, and it will reunite. The strongest mind, the Buddha taught, has the nature of water, not diamond. Its strength is in its boundless, adaptable, all-embracing softness. This is the heart of compassion fully realized. In Buddhism, the highest expression of this is the Bodhisattva ideal, the being who vows to attain enlightenment not for solitary freedom, but for the sake of all living beings. This is not a sentimental notion. It is a radical, strategic understanding of where true strength lies. When your well-being is tied to the well-being of others, your circle of concern expands infinitely. Your sense of self is no longer a small, fragile thing to be defended, but a wide, open space that can include the suffering of the world without being destroyed by it. In fact, it is nourished by the act of caring. This is the ultimate resilience. A heart that cares only for itself is easily isolated and defeated. A heart that cares for all finds strength everywhere, because it is connected to the source of life itself. I witnessed this unbreakable softness in a nurse who worked in a hospice for children. Her name was Anya, and she radiated a quiet, steady light that comforted everyone. I asked her once, "How do you bear it? How do you not break under the weight of such sorrow?" She smiled, a smile that held both profound sadness and deep peace. "In my first year," she said, "I built walls. I thought strength was not feeling. I was professional, efficient, and I went home and cried until I was sick. I was breaking. Then, I met an old doctor who had done this work for 50 years. He had the gentlest eyes I'd ever seen. He told me, 'Your heart is not a suitcase meant to carry this. Your heart is a window. Let the sorrow pass through. Don't try to hold it. Just be the clear space through which it moves, on its way to whatever comes next. Your job is to keep the window clean. With your own tears, if necessary.'" She paused. "So, I stopped trying to be strong by being hard. I let myself feel the devastating tenderness of each child, each family. I cried with them. And I discovered that the pain didn't stick to me anymore. It moved through. And what remained behind was love. Just pure, simple love. That doesn't break. It's what's left when everything else passes." Anya was describing the heart of the Buddha's teaching on compassion, karuna. Compassion is not taking on the world's pain as your own burden, it is the courageous willingness to be present with pain, to be the clear, loving space that acknowledges, this is suffering, without needing to fix it or run from it. That presence itself is the greatest healing and the greatest strength. This leads us to a practice that can weave all our threads together, the practice of Tonglen, a Tibetan Buddhist meditation meaning giving and taking. In Tonglen, on the in-breath, you consciously breathe in the suffering, pain, and darkness you sense in yourself or others. You imagine taking it into the vast, open space of your heart. Then, on the out-breath, you breathe out relief, peace, light, and healing, sending it to yourself and to all beings. This seems counterintuitive. Why would we breathe in suffering? Isn't that the opposite of mental strength? Actually, it is the ultimate training. It reverses our deepest, most conditioned habit of pushing away pain and clinging to pleasure. By willingly touching suffering with awareness and transforming it in the alchemy of the heart, we rob it of its power to scare us. We realize our heart is not a small, fragile vessel, but a limitless crucible that can transform any poison into compassion. We build the muscle of fearless openness. I practiced this during a period of intense collective fear. A natural disaster had struck a region where I had friends. The news images were horrifying, and my own anxiety was paralyzing. Sitting in my room, far away and safe, I felt both guilty and helpless. I began to practice Tunglen. With each in-breath, I imagined breathing in the fear, the shock, the loss of those affected. I didn't push it away. I let it touch my heart, which ached with the acknowledgement. With each out-breath, I sent out stability, calm, and the wish for safety. I did not imagine I was magically fixing anything. I was simply relating to the suffering differently, not with helpless panic, but with active, compassionate courage. And a shift occurred. My own paralysis melted. I was moved to practical action, donating, reaching out, but from a place of centered calm, not frantic guilt. My mental strength was no longer about insulating myself from the world's pain, but about developing the capacity to hold it with love and respond from wisdom. Now, let us consider the strength in releasing outcomes. We have spoken of non-attachment. Here, we see its fruition. The Buddha taught diligent effort, virya, but he also taught surrender to the law of cause and effect. You plant the seed with care, you water it, but you cannot make it sprout on your timetable or force the flower to be a certain color. A strong mind does its part with full, mindful effort, and then releases its grip on the result. This is the strength of the archer, beautifully illustrated in the Bhagavad Gita and echoed in Buddhist wisdom. Your right is to action alone, never to the fruits thereof. When you are attached to a specific outcome, your mental state becomes a puppet of circumstances. If you succeed, you are temporarily elated and then fearful of loss. If you fail, you are devastated. When you release the outcome, you are free. Your strength is in the integrity of the action itself, in the purity of your effort. This creates an inner autonomy that cannot be shaken by external praise or blame, gain or loss. There is a story of a master gardener I heard long ago. She was commissioned to create a perfect Zen garden for a wealthy patron. She worked for months, selecting every stone, raking every grain of sand into perfect patterns. On the day of the unveiling, a terrible, unseasonal storm hit. Torrential rain and wind lashed the garden, scattering stones, ruining the raked lines. The patron was furious. The gardener arrived, looked at the devastation, and bowed. She said, "Now, the garden is perfect." She then spent the afternoon not restoring it to its previous design, but carefully rearranging the stones where the water had placed them, smoothing the sand into new patterns dictated by the rain. "I had a design in my mind," she said. "The universe had a different one. My strength was not in forcing my design upon the land, but in having the skill to collaborate with what the universe provided." This is the strength of upekkha, equanimity, merged with skillful action. It is the ability to meet reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, and to engage with it creatively, peacefully, and powerfully. As we near the integration of all these principles, remember that this path of mental strength is circular, not linear. You will forget the ocean and feel like a wave. You will lose the still hand and clench your fists in traffic. You will build a wall when you mean to open a window. This is not failure. This is the path. The strength is in the gentle return, the compassionate remembering. Each time you remember, the groove of mindfulness deepens. The Buddha called this bhavana, mental cultivation. It is farming the heart. You till the soil with ethics, plant the seeds with mindfulness, water them with concentration, and patiently wait for the fruits of wisdom and compassion to grow. There are seasons of rapid growth and seasons of fallow rest. All are part of the strength. Let us complete our journey now, here in the quiet space of Monk's Temple. We have traveled far together, from the bending bamboo to the still ocean depths, from the guardian at the gate to the unbreakable soft heart. We have gathered many lanterns. Now, as we prepare to return to the flow of your daily life, the question is not how to remember every teaching, but how to carry a single, integrated feeling forward. How does a mentally strong life, rooted in the Buddha's wisdom, actually feel as you live it? It feels like being a mountain. Not a cold, rigid peak, but a great, ancient, living mountain. Storms of emotion may swirl around its shoulders. The weather of praise and blame may change across its face. Seasons of joy and sorrow will sweep its slopes, bringing blossoms and fallow snow. Yet, deep beneath, the mountain is settled, unmoving, intimately connected to the earth. It does not chase the storms or beg for spring. It embodies a profound yes to all seasons, knowing each belongs. Your practice is to feel this mountainess in your own spine, in your seated posture, in your steady breath. You are not the passing weather. You are the grounded presence that allows all weather to be. It feels like being a deep, clear lake. Thoughts, like skipping stones, will disturb your surface. Ripples of worry, circles of planning, splashes of memory will cross you. The untrained mind chases every ripple, trying to smooth the water with its hands. The strong mind simply knows its own depth. It feels the ripple, acknowledges its passing, and remains the clear, still water that holds the perfect reflection of the sky. Each time you pause and feel your breath, you touch this depth. You remember you are the lake. And ultimately, it feels like being a humble, sturdy bridge. A bridge does not exist for itself. It exists for the crossing. It allows movement, connection, passage. Your strength is for this, to be a conduit for kindness, a passage for understanding, a connection between moments of confusion and moments of clarity, for yourself and for others. You will bear weight, and you will sing in the wind. Your purpose is found in this service to the crossing. When you feel weak, ask, how can I be a bridge for peace, right now? Perhaps it is through a breath, a patient silence, or a small act of care. So, what is the practice? It is not complicated. It is a gentle, daily returning. First, each morning, plant the seed of intention. Before you rise, take 3 conscious breaths. In the quiet of your mind, set a simple intention. Today, may I be like the mountain. May I meet all conditions with a steady heart. This plants the direction for your day. Second, throughout the day, be the guardian. When you feel a reactive thought or a harsh emotion, the strike of the mallet, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Be the still hand. Ask your inner guardian, does this serve my peace? If it does not, you have the strength to say, not this time. Choose your response from the depth, not from the ripple. Third, each evening, pour the gold of compassion. In the last moments before sleep, review the day without judgment. Where did you feel like a wave? Gently touch that place with the gold lacquer of understanding. Say to yourself, it is understandable. I was learning. Where did you feel like the mountain or the lake? Acknowledge that with quiet gratitude. This is how you mend the cracks, how you become a vessel of golden repair. The Buddha's path is one of gentle, persistent remembering. You will forget. You will believe yourself to be only the storm. And then, you will remember the mountain. Each time you remember, you are stronger. The path itself becomes your strength. Thank you for sharing this time at Monk's Temple. May the mountain's steadiness be in your bones. May the lake's clarity be in your heart. May the bridge's purpose be in your steps. Go in peace. Go in strength. You are already everything you need to be. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. Good night.